All right, well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. As always, our official sponsor is Running Aces Racetrack, Casino, and Hotel, and our other sponsors are Learn Pro Poker and website AMP. This is episode 192 overall, and the first with our brand new expansion to 2 podcasts a week. And today we're going to have a chance to chat with Blake Bohn. He's the Minnesota Poker Hall of Famer. He's the all-time money winner from Minnesota. He's an MSPT Hall of Famer and a ton of other cool stuff. So we'll get to Blake here in a second, but let's first introduce our panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I am Rec Poker Steve in our PokerStars home game, and I'm reminding you what Edward Norton said: life, like poker, has an element of risk. It shouldn't be avoided. It should be faced.
And I'm Andrew Feist. I'm dealer 412 in the PokerStars home game. Doyle Brunson once said, "Poker is war. People pretend it is a game."
And I'm Chris Jones, 5x5 on PokerStars, 5B5 on Twitter. And my first PokerStars password, which I have since changed, is "Stop Hero Calling with Ace High."
Positive thinking, Chris. I'm Jim Reed. I'm Bluffsterini in the PokerStars home game, and taking a quick break from poker. I'm just telling you to go out and support your local food bank.
And I'm John Somsky, Poker Geek MN on PokerStars and on Twitter. And I'm going to pull another Rounders quote: "If after 30 minutes at the table you don't know who the sucker is at the table, you are the sucker."
And I'm Rob Washam. I'm Radman50 on Twitter and PokerStars. And the quote of the day is, "Aces are larger than life and greater than mountains."
Nice. Well, thanks, guys. As always, it's so fun to do it as a group. A couple quick things before we jump in. Like I said, this is the week that we expanded 2 podcasts, so buckle up for that. This one focuses on interviews. The other one, we're going to be extending discussions that are happening inside of the forums at rec.poker. And just a reminder that Rec Poker is way more than a podcast. We are a vibrant and encouraging poker learning community, which means we have a blast. We celebrate each other's victories, we build relationships, and we learn the game together. So if you want to become part of that deal, you can join our community for free at rec.poker. And if you want to go premium, use the code RECPOKER for $10 off your first payment. So with that, let me bring in Blake Bohn. As I mentioned, he's a Minnesota Poker Hall of Famer, the all-time leading money winner from Minnesota with, I think, about $3.1 million in earnings, somewhere in that ballpark. He's an MSPT Hall of Famer with 3 wins, 9 final tables, 25 total cashes. And in 2015, he made a deep run in the main event, finishing 23rd for $263K. And so far, I've counted 9 online WSOP cashes this summer, so excited to talk about that. But welcome, Blake.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's been super fun to connect with you here as we prepare for this thing. And tell us a little bit about what you're doing now these days. I know we have a pretty good following in the Midwest, so people know you from Minnesota, but obviously
Sure.
Your career has taken you beyond that.
Yeah, so, I played poker for quite a while, maybe professional tournaments for a better part of 10 years, I would say. But I just really fell in love with poker again, maybe about 2 months ago with this online thing that we have to do now. Like, I went to Nevada and just play. Like, I couldn't wait to play. I hired a coach / good friend of mine to help me teach me how to fold, which was a key to helping me out. But I just really enjoy it these days. And yeah, sure, I've had a lot of success, but I don't play quite as much as I do anymore, just because I don't necessarily have to or whatever. But I still enjoy the deep runs. Obviously, I'm chasing I guess it's just tough to explain what it's like for those that haven't been there to be down deep in a final table or for a lot of money. Like, it's one of the few things that gets me going and excited. So I'm just going to keep plugging away.
And have you been primarily a tournament player, or have you played a lot of cash in your career?
So my poker career started with limit hold'em, playing 15-30 limit hold'em, 30-60 limit hold'em, stuff like that. So for years, I would go to Canterbury Park and just try to grind out, small wins here and there. And the game was a lot simpler back then when the poker boom happened. And but I've always liked the tournament aspect of it because you can put more pressure on people, and I feel like I can there's more things to read than how you played with this guy last Thursday. I think I do a good job of being aware of what's going on at the table. And so I started to have some success, and then I started having more success. And it's just my passion. I just love tournament poker. There's just so many different levels of thinking to it, like not only what I think of players, but what they think of me. Am I here locally to where, there's, different opinions or whatever, or I'm in Florida, you know what I mean? So I love the mind game. It's just amazing.
Well, I love that. I've had a chance to work for the MSPT a little bit, so I've had a chance to watch you, over the course of multiple days, and it's super interesting because I think, you have this, this perspective of you that you apply a lot of pressure, and you do, but there's also these periods where, you're not super active. And so I think, if people think about you, they don't realize the whole magnitude of the game and the strategy that's going into that. But I'm curious about the pressure side. Has that always been like kind of built in, hardwired into you, where you kind of recognize weaknesses or really use the psychology of the game, or is that something that developed over the course of your career?
There's a lot that I would talk about on pressure. In fact, it's one of the things I had as one of my notes. Like, I feel like I thrive under pressure. I'm not really scared to lose, and it's not like I haven't been broke or have had a lot of money before, but I still feel like you put people in certain situations. The first thing that got me better at tournament poker is, what didn't I like done to me? Mm-hmm. So if somebody calls me out of the big blind after I open and they lead into me, I hated it. Back in the day, you'd just be like, well, they could never have it or whatever. And now you have to process it. But so I didn't like that. And what else don't I like? I don't like raising the middle position and have the button flatten me. So that's what I started doing. I just, I paid attention to what other great players were doing, that I respected. And just kind of like adapted their style. Like, I'm really good at processing fast on my feet and thinking things through like that. But yeah, pressure is where life is lived. Like there's the line in Rounders, as you guys all say. Like the great Walinda says, life is spent on the wire. The rest is just whatever. It's just like, I guess that's where. It doesn't make me better than anybody else, but I just enjoy it. I love the thrill of it, and I think you might be talking about putting pressure on others, but it's just about making them feel uncomfortable or like talking to them in a certain situation. That's just, we play a game of incomplete information. That's what poker is. So the more information I have, the more experience I have, the better results I should have overall.
Yeah. Love it. Rob, did you have something?
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, you talked about how you kind of understood the game based on what made you uncomfortable, and that's what you gave to them. Is this something that you have been training to do outside of the table, or is this something that you've just kind of happened while you've been playing?
Yeah, so I just I think it's important to learn from other people at the poker table, and you could be learning from who you think would be a bad player and not what to do. You could be learning from a good player and what you like about them. You could be learning from yourself and be honest with yourself. And, we always remember a lot of times, I had ace king, the guy had ace jack, he made a jack, and, it can't do anything. But you don't remember 8 levels before, when you had 7 outs, and it might not have been 3, but you had 7 outs, you won the hand. I'm just taking chips, and that just goes in there like, yeah, I'm the best. We don't think about that because variance is going to, the problem with variance is you're going to have to play thousands of tournaments to make that even out, tens of thousands of tournaments actually. So I'm trying to just accept the results. I love the game that I play right now, and I'm really into it.
Love it. And I think that's just human psychology, right? We remember the bad stuff more than we remember the good stuff. And so I think that fits right into what you're saying about we forget when we make the suck out. I want to go back to something that you said earlier. You talked about, I've been playing, tournament poker for 10 years or so. And I know you've, kind of revamped that up, but then you're saying, but over the last couple of months, I fell in love with the game again. And we'll talk a little bit about the online and things that are going on now, but I think that's a fascinating comment as for those of us who are recreational players going, wait, you played tournament poker for 10 years and you're falling in love again. Didn't you love it all the time? So talk a little bit about just maybe the grind or what was your emotional state during that?
Can we swear on here?
Yes.
Well, fuck no, I didn't love it all the time. Sometimes it felt like, when you're short on money and you're playing, like, and you take a bad beat, like it ruins the rest of your day. And then you want to go home to a significant other or a child and they want your attention. And you're just like, you have to learn, like the poker industry win or lose, you're playing around negative people because most people are kind of losing. I mean, we have a positive attitude, but when you're sitting at a table, there's a lot of people that are losing, right? Whether it's you or somebody else. So when you deal with that day after day in limit hold'em or tournaments, or we play, okay, so they pay 10 or 15% of the field. So maybe you're really good and you cash 25 or 30%. Okay, guess what? 7 out of 10 times I go to work, I fail. In the Major League Baseball arena, you succeed 3 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Not here, and we have to deal with going home and saying, I could have played that better. We could have done that better. I could study more. Did I get enough sleep or whatever? Analyze stuff. And I've been through the whole gamut. I've been through ups and downs, been broke. I've had lots of money, and I just try to stay true to myself. There's only a certain amount of people that know really who I am, and I have certain, I guess, not a stigma, but certain people think a certain way about me, and I'm just kind of learning to accept that and just be myself because I know who I am as a person and a player. So
talk a little bit about. I know John's got a question, but really quick before we get to John, in Minnesota, who are some of the people that either just gave you fits? I want to go national and international as well, but locally, who are some of the people that either gave you fits or that you think are maybe players to watch coming up?
I was kind of dreading this question, quite honestly. In the Minnesota poker scene, I'm not sure, definitely respect everybody, and I've learned that over the years, but I don't think I ever sit down at a table in Minnesota and I'm just like, shit, can't believe this guy's 2 to my left. Maybe that's cocky, maybe that's conceited, maybe that's the attitude you need or the confidence you need in yourself. Whether I'm right or wrong, I mean, I'm willing to take my skills up against most people, and not just in Minnesota, in the world, right? So we have a nice community. People play good poker here. I think not enough credit goes to the MSPT, not, shooting my own brand or whatever, but Brian really came on the scene and gave us money to play for, to where it really, really filled in some voids of how to learn to play tournament poker for money, for a lot of money. Before, sure, you're playing a daily for, 1,000 or 8,000, whatever, but all of a sudden MSPT, you're playing for hundreds of thousands, to where not a lot of other states or communities have the ability to travel after playing for that type of money. So kudos to them and their brand and our brand or whatever. But I guess as far as somebody gives me fits, I would hate to probably name any names.
And tell us exactly why. No.
Yeah,
So any up and comers, any people that you're kind of going, man, we should keep an eye on this guy, either out of Minnesota.
I really don't follow it. I really don't follow the local scene that much. Obviously, I haven't been playing locally a lot, and especially with the COVID and stuff. But there's definitely some players around the world that I've felt like when I was sitting there with 2 5s in middle position saying, if I just raise this, I'm going to get 3-bet, and then I'm not going to know what to do when it comes king 8-4, then I'm going to be, screwed. So, I'd play a little more tighter or try to pick my spots better. But, here in Minnesota, I mean, if I have the Jack 7 hearts under the gun, we're playing, we're just going to play. I feel I can play post flop better than anybody. So let's go with that.
Love it. Love it. John?
I wanted to go back a few years ago. The favorite tweet that you ever put out that I saw was when you were having your deep run in the main event. And you said something along the lines, I don't have the exact wording here, of, this is an amazing experience. It's something I wish everyone in their life could experience once. And that's not an exact quote, but the gist of it.
Yeah,
what was that like?
To be honest with you, just us talking about it, I just got chills again. It's something I'll never forget. Maybe 8, 9 years ago, I got 100 or 177th or 108. I think I have a couple hundred finishes, and I was just like, well, there's my chance. I'll never get back there again. And then I got 100, and it's the same thing. And I'm not afraid to say this. After I busted 23rd, I shed some tears in the Rio. It was, you just pour your heart and soul into it. And I guess you can take out poker and put in a different profession that anybody loves, or in a game that anybody aspires to be great at, and say, I wish everybody had this feeling once, because, the pressure's there, the electricity in the air, going to sleep after day 6 of a poker tournament. I mean, I played 12 to 14 hours a day for 6 days. in a poker tournament, like I'm sitting there on 18 blinds going, yeah, there's plenty of time, no problem at all, and there's just so many cool stories about that. Like, because normally you think, when you're in the 12 blind or 18 blinds and you have 20-minute levels, then it's like, holy shit, I got to make some moves. In the main event, it's 2-hour levels.
So I guess let's shift gears a little bit to talk about your online experience now. Let's the last couple of months, you said you just been loving what's going on. Talk about the experience of playing the World Series online, or just your entire experience and why it's been so enjoyable.
I decided when the World Series of Poker announced some online events or the online series this year that I was going to go play it. But I guess to my credit, or everybody was like, well, we're going to go to Vegas and sit in a hotel room and play poker. And I'm just like, nah, screw that. Like, I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to go somewhere outside of the casino. I'm just going to be playing poker, right? So I love the Lake Tahoe area, and took my assistant and went out there for 3.5 weeks, and just mornings we're working out, eating healthy, seeing Tahoe, and then playing poker every day. And it was just it was a really good recipe for success. I got away with my dogs, and it was just it's nice to get out of Minnesota for a bit. And so the first 19 days we're there, and then GG Poker's in, so you got to go back. So once I left Nevada, you can't play WSOP, but then I went to Mexico to play the GG, and I'm home right now, but I'm leaving to go play the rest of the series on GG. So.
Okay, and so what's been your experience online? I know we've seen some of our professionals sort of have meltdowns because of the technology. What's been your experience?
Well, he would not be our professional, because I'm not a big fan of his. I know we all know what we're talking about right now, but there's been some. WSOP.com, their website is not the best. GG Poker's software is amazing. You get to sweat the river card in a lot of spots. It's fun, like being able to like show your emotions at the table rather than keep them in, and I can sit down and take a beat for 100,000 and I might not move or win a pot like that, to where here now I can swear, I can throw my fourth mouse off the wall for the day. I can do whatever.
So what is your perspective on some of the stuff that's been going on, some of this, with live streaming, with Twitch, we get these personalities that are out there, and sometimes it's amazing to listen to. Sometimes it's like, wow, this is surprisingly negative. Do you have a perspective on that, or do you just kind of tune that stuff out?
I think poker, just like life or society now it's all about influencers rather than back in the day. It was like, who could win more money on there? Now these sites don't even want you to be a winning player, supposedly. It's like, they're trying to build a brand, and I don't think, even in poker's heyday, it's really tough to make a living at poker. I wouldn't advise it. I don't want my son to do it. Sure, keep it as a profession, love it, be a passion of yours, but I would never recommend grinding cash or tournaments. I just think there's such a small percentage that can make enough money on a year-to basis to survive or whatever. Like, I've been fortunate enough that I won a bunch of money, years ago, and I put it in some good spots. And I come from a, professional background, so I try to treat it like a business a little bit. And sure, I have leaks and I've made mistakes and stuff like that, but it's really allowed me now in my, I just turned 48 to just, I just can play when I want, and I have for the past few years. And sometimes that might be a $500 tournament aces. Sometimes it might be a $25K in the Bahamas. Like, I just kind of, I don't just like wake up and go that day. It's all planned out, but I just kind of do what I feel. And I try to focus more on myself or what's going to make me happy. And it's a lot nicer to be able to play when you don't have the stress of that money or the financial issue. Right. So, when you take a beat and you're broke or on makeup, or, you just have to defend. Yeah, I don't know. It just sucks. But so I'm just, I don't want to say fortunate, because I've worked really hard. Like, I've really put in time off and on, like mind, professionally, like physically. Like I put in so much more effort than people see. And I'm okay with people not knowing that. That's just part of what makes me, and negative comments drive me. My own failures drive me. And, but right now I'm just really like, it's come full circle where I just love playing the game. Like it's just really interesting to me to see, like, what he thinks, what I know, but he doesn't think, but I can never have this. And it's just like, and when it doesn't work, you look like an idiot, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'm okay if somebody calls me down with 5 high, I'm showing my hand. I'm not throwing it in the muck. right? I'm turning that over saying, look at me, I have reasons why I did it, and people can laugh or people can say, whoa, can you believe that? But I'm still going to show it. One, I want the information, and two, I'm just not scared. I'm just not scared to lose. Like, you have to lose the fear of chips and money and just be yourself. And if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying enough, I don't think. We all want to get better, but you still have to. People want me to teach them poker. Yeah, Blake, teach me how to play tournament poker. Well, do you know how to play the 6-4 of spades? No, you don't. And you're not gonna. So we can sit down and have lunch, and I love you. You're a good friend of mine. But until you try to play the 6-4 spades, until you try to play the 8-5 of clubs, or 4-bet the Jack-9 of hearts, then you're just not – I can't teach you because I see what I see. It doesn't make those plays right? I'm just saying – they play a different style. It's more ABC. It's like, well, this guy must have it. He 3-bet me. And more, I'm like, how could this guy have it? He 3-bet. I know that he doesn't have it, And then I, jam, and he's got 2 kings, and he has it. And I just go back to my notes and remind yourself they always have it, And it's like stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm just enjoying myself and love the game. It's such an intriguing game. There's so many different levels of it.
Blake, I wanted to ask you because you mentioned playing $500 tournament at Aces and a $25K in the Bahamas and the main event. And I when you're approaching a tournament, whether it's a $500 at Aces or a $25K in the Bahamas, what is your approach? How does your approach change based on, or does it, based on stakes, based on the quality of opponents you expect? Do you arrive expecting to play a different type of game, or is your game just sort of translate to all those different sort of venues and settings?
Sure. My first comment would be it shouldn't change. It shouldn't change. You should still put in the same type of drive and effort and pay attention and stay off your phone. But it definitely does. Definitely could be a leak of mine to where if I'm playing a smaller tournament, it's not going to hold my attention the same, but also I know when I go play at Canterbury or Running Aces, I know the players, and I know the structure, and I know. I think a lot of tournament players don't adjust their game for the structures.
7 o'clock.
I don't think they take in consideration their $500 tournament Aces is super great structure where you could play a 1K tournament in another state, and it's like a speed tournament. So I've just always paid attention. I know when the breaks are. I know how many players are usually left. I've been in those spots before. I'm just gathering all information, but certainly I get more excited to play the bigger events. I think anybody probably would, but I would never go play a tournament here locally or anywhere if I didn't want to. I would never be like, oh man, I got to get up and fly here or drive here. I'm only going to play when I want to. And so that makes it, more fun. And yeah, sure, it sucks when you bust out early, but when you go to the 5 Diamond and you're on day 3 or 4 again, and you're just like, this is what we play for, and you don't get those chances that often in live poker because you don't play that many. I really don't play a ton of volume in the bigger tournaments because there just isn't that many. But so when you get there, you take advantage of it.
So at this point, obviously the money is good when you run deep in a big tournament, but is playing tournament poker, is it the going after the buck, or is it the rush of, the 100 tables down to 20, down to 10, down to 5, down to 1, or what sort of really drives you in terms of tournament poker that you really enjoy?
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that because, years ago I would have said that, which I still do, it would have been like, I'm chasing. I would really like to win a bracelet. I don't think it validates your career, but it'd be something cool to just have because, when you go to a cocktail party and you actually tell people what you do, which I try not to, then they're like, oh, you've been on TV. If you want a bracelet, and it's just like, oh, you count cards? No, I don't count cards. Whatever.
Right. I always split my 8s or whatever.
Yeah, but
they have no idea.
I love money. I'm not afraid to say that I'm addicted to money. I love money. So that money's great. But the deep runs, when you're 7-handed and the next payout's $80K, but first place is, 1.2 million or whatever, you're just like, that's stuff people dream about, and that's stuff that still drives me, and that's probably why I play. I love the competition. I come up as an athlete, so this is something that fuels my competitive desire. I'm okay at golf, but not good enough to be good enough to be super competitive. So I found this, and I've always been a game player, a card player with my family growing up, and I just felt like this game just suits my personality.
And so we had a few questions in our forums. We had solicited questions from people in advance, and some of them we've already talked about. But Rob Adsom was asking a little bit if you're itching to get back into live play? Is that, we touched on a little bit, but are you kind of like, man, I could live here forever. This is fine. The way this is going, I'm fine here. Or are you like, I really do want to get back to the live game. There's something about it that just fuels me.
Yeah, I definitely, there's mixed emotions. When it first went away, I was like, I hope it, comes back really soon. Right now, I've been playing so much that when the series is over in early September, I hope I don't see a card for a while, because I'm playing so much volume. Because I love it and because the price is right, But as far as live poker, I miss traveling to the places that I go to, whether it's Florida or LA or even Atlantic City. Like, Atlantic City sucks, but the Borgata is a really nice casino, So there's places that I go and I know certain people in certain cities, so I miss that part of it. But as far as sitting down at a 10-handed table, trying to like get some room and like listen to bad beat stories, or somebody tell me like, you remember in 2009 when you had the Queen 8 of spades, and I'm like, no, I'm just enjoying being by myself. Like, it's fun. Like, it's a good break from people. Let's put it that way.
Good. That's awesome. So my question on this is, like, you said you have a certain persona and that kind of thing in Minnesota, and you're perceived a certain way at tables. When you're going online or when you go somewhere that people don't necessarily know you, does your approach to the table change from when you're in Minnesota to when you're somewhere else?
Definitely has to. And, the first couple WSOP events, this is the first time I made a WSOP account, so nobody knew my screen name. And they do after you cash, but those first couple events, I mean, my friends were asking me and I wasn't telling them. I'm keeping that edge. I don't want anybody to know who I am until they have to know who I am, And people don't know, like, my assistant was sitting there tracking everybody's online name, everybody when they cashed. We knew before, when I sat down at the table on the WSOP, if there was somebody that we knew, like with all the previous games, we knew who they were. We were putting their sticky notes up. We knew who they were, right? We were visualizing their chips if I played with them in the past, and hopefully they didn't do the same thing I did, which gives me edge. Like, I'm just looking for any, little thing that people can do for free beforehand. I just prepare better. Like, some of the best advice, not to change the question, but some of the best advice I got was before my first main event. Somebody told me, get to the table 15 minutes before it starts. And I'm like, okay, like, knowing me, I was so excited. I was probably there an hour early, But I'm like, why? He's like, you just want to see people when they walk up. You want to see if they're handing them a passport for Finland. You want to see if they're on the phone with their home, their home game, or their wife, or they're fighting with the concierge at the Cosmo. Like, you just want to take it all in and see where their heads are at. And I'm like, that makes sense. And sometimes you don't gather anything from it, but sometimes you do get some pieces. And, like I tell a lot of people that there'll be sometimes in bigger tournaments, I'll engage people before the tournament starts. And I'll try to just talk to them like, hey, where are you from, if I don't know them? And sure, part of it is trying to be nice, but part of it is trying to see how they answer questions when I don't think they're lying to me when I say where you're from. If they say, Sweden, I don't think they're from Australia or whatever, but I just try to see how their body language is. Like, I just try to read all that stuff. So if we're in a hand, I'm like, you really have that ace? Like, you can call back how they acted, and different stuff like that. I mean, there's just so many things I could do better as a poker player without just studying strategy or cards. And there's so many things that other poker players can do. Like, if you really want to be good, if you have a passion, you really want to be good at it, it's just not sitting down and just playing and practice and over and over. There's many other things off the felt that people could do to be better.
So if there's all this stuff like, in advance where you're watching people and it sort of gives you an edge, if you're doing that, you're observing and other people aren't doing that, there's an edge there. And I think you have an edge because you're very aware of personality types and people. Yeah. And you might look at me and go like, okay, there's a guy that doesn't want to lose $1,100. I can apply pressure on him. And so those things are in the live game. Do you feel like you sort of lose a little bit of your edge when you go online as far as, that those pressure points that you can apply, or no?
Yep, but I still think my aptitude and my skill set is, when it comes to numbers, is strong as ever. So guess what? Online, we get to play more hands, so I'll take my chances. If I can play 4 tables online rather than sitting around by you and talking about, the twins, screw that. Like, I'd rather play 4 games. I'll play a 201 here, a 1K here, and we'll just, like, play. Of course, you want to get deep in them all, but, I'll take the volume over at any time, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so,
I'm just
what,
gonna win.
what,
I'm a winning player, and I'm gonna win my share. Like I could run bad for 3 years. Cool, fine. I would suck, but I just know that if I put in the volume and I'm really trying, that I just hope that my the things I do to be prepared will help me in the end.
well, I think the reality is you're winning. You're going to win more than your fair share. So let's just call it right there as it is. You're winning too much, Blake. I'm sorry. We're going to have to take some of that back from you. But
Okay.
I'm curious. Your journey of learning the game, has that all been just, man, you figuring it out, studying your opponents? Has there been an element of whether it's reading books or having people around you to talk about hands, or how is it just innate? Like, how have you become Blake Bohn that we
Sure.
know now?
Yeah, great question. So it's been different. Like when it first started, I was still, which I still am, but I was still learning so much that I just also, this is before iPhones were out, so nobody was on their phone. So you could like talk to people. They weren't watching their movie or Law and Order on their iPad or whatever. Like there was just more interaction. So and then there was more people playing that weren't as good. So you watch the bad habits and the good habits. So I went from trying to learn the game to studying the good people to where it is now, like, there's solvers out there. What are you going to do with the King Jack of Hearts and the hijack when somebody 2.2x's you with 40 blinds? I'm just like, well, in a live event, I'm going to look at that guy and I'm going to see what he thinks of me and how many anti-chips does he have in his stack? Like, is he playing lots of hands? I don't know. Like, these are things that everybody does.
Oh, I love that point about the anti-chips in his stack, right? As someone who plays online more, I don't have that kind of experience with the nuts and bolts mechanics of getting non-physical tells and reads on opponents, but that's great.
Yeah, so those are little things. Like that was taught from somebody else too. Like when you show up at a table back in the day, you'd walk around, and if the ante was 100 and you walked in and, ABC Joe Blow has 4 stacks of 20K 20 black chips, I'm like, that guy's pretty active. When you see this person over here has 3 anti chips, so most likely there wasn't a color up, most likely, but in general, those are just things I pick up. But when I sit down, I know how I'm going to attack the table within one orbit. Like I know what positions I'm in. I know when I can't raise, when my raises are going to be invulnerable. I know what where the chip leader is if it's not me. I know what small blind to attack. I know who's going to defend the big blinds if I just keep raising. So, people sometimes they just sit down and play, and they're just like, yeah, we're just going to play. And yeah, it's twofold. I hope people play to have fun, but if you're playing to make money, you got to be sitting down saying, okay, how am I going to get chips here? Can I raise and fold to this guy? Or can I bet this river knowing I can fold if he jams? Or if he jams, I'm going to change my mind and try to call it off. Like, what does this guy, does this guy hate me? What does he think of this? Like, I've been playing a lot of hands, so that's why we're playing the 6-3 of spades, because if I do pick up aces, they don't know, so it's just like, I don't know. That's the great thing about poker. There's just so many different levels, and that's why.
So if I 3-bet you, Blake, what are you thinking?
2 jokers. 2 jokers, maybe 3 jokers, maybe a set of
Maybe
jokers.
3.
If I have 2 kings, I'm like,
Yeah. This sucks. You're in a tough spot.
I'm gonna probably show you and just be like, you got it, and just throw it in the muck. Obviously, it just depends on every spot. But,
Of course, yeah, of course. I'm curious. So, you playing all.
Wait. Have you ever 3-bet me?
I don't know that you and I played together much. Maybe once or twice.
Have you ever 3-bet?
I would 3-bet you. I don't know if we played together much.
Okay, just checking. I was just checking.
I would have. I've learned from these gurus.
You know what a 3-bet is, right, Steve?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
No, I 4-bet the other day with Jack 8 of Hearts. You should be really proud of me, Blake.
Come on.
I did. Well, maybe I'm just setting you up for the future. I don't know, but no, I'm learning how to balance my range, Blake. I'm learning. I'm learning.
I like you. We played a few times, and I've like that, and we have another relationship too, so everything's good.
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm curious, as we talk, we've got people across the board as far as skill levels. We got some people that are really, high level recs that are aspiring to be pros. But I'd say the bulk of our audience are people that are, we're playing home games, bar leagues, $100 tournaments, and we just want to get better. We just want to be better. We don't have the time to really invest a ton of time. So, from your perspective, and I know, it's been a while since you played a $100 tournament, but what are some of the mistakes that you think that most rec players
played a $53 tournament 2 days ago?
Love it. There you go. Boom,
Like,
people.
if I have nothing, like that's how much I'm eating up poker. Like I'll sit down and if I have nothing to do, I'm like, okay, $53 bounty. Like let's just play. Like
love of the game. Love of the game.
All right, so what are some of those either those pools of mistakes or specific mistakes? What do you still people what mistakes do you see people still making more often than others?
I don't know. I mean, how much time we have? I mean, it's just not even the new players; it's the old players. It's just
give us your top 28.
I mean, let's see. When you win tournaments, doesn't mean you played as good as everybody else. When you lose tournaments, doesn't mean you played as bad or you didn't get as unlucky, right? So people go on little heaters, which we all. Well, I don't know. Like I guess not everybody, but I have, and it's just like, man, I got this figured out, but.
Yeah.
I guess never try to stop learning. Also make sure you know why you're playing. If you're going to a bar league, which I've played, I've went to bar leagues and played for free, or, play for the couple $100 or the Buffalo Wild Wings sauce. Like I've done all that. I've done everything, right? I've literally done it all. And just know why you're there. If you're there to have a good time, make sure you have a good time. If you think if I walk in there with an attitude saying I'm Blake Bohn and nobody knows me and I'm going to tell everybody how good I am, that's not why I'm at this bar to play this poker tournament, right? I'm going to sit down and have fun, A lot of times, unfortunately, what comes back to me is, I get a lot of heat back my way, and sometimes I don't say a lot, but then eventually it just adds up. But as far as, what people should do, they should stay within their bankrolls, tight is right. Don't ever 3-bet Blake.
Right. He's totally.
And that's about it. That's about it. I always have it. I guess that's what I'd like to just tell everybody. Just stay out of my way. If I'm around, and try not to talk to me. If I'm not talking to you.
Don't talk to me. Yeah. Fold and never 3-bet. All right, we're starting to get this now. I'm taking copious notes.
I actually stopped one guy. Like one guy threw his cards towards the muck back in the day. And I stopped the game, and I said, whoa. And the dealer didn't grab him. The dealer looked at me confused, and I said, if you muck right there and I show you a bluff, how bad are you going to look in front of everybody? And I shit you not, he pulled his cards back and called. And of course
you got him.
Of course I had it, But it's like, it's just so fun to not mind fuck people, but just talk. Like, it's just, of course now he hates me, but I'm just like, you should know if I'm trying to make you stop it.
Right.
You probably should fold.
Right.
I played a tournament hand with the ace of spades stuck face up on my forehead before. No joke. At Canterbury Park, the card got exposed, right? Because it got dealt, but it hit it was my fault apparently.
Yeah.
So I literally took that card and licked it and put it on my forehead like this, and the tournament kept going. And an ace came on the flop. And I bet, and somebody raised me. And he's staring at this ace of spades on my forehead. Right? I'm like, he can never have it. He's trying to represent he has all of it because he thinks I know that I think I have an ace. I'm just like, good shot. I mean, I'm just going to put it in your eye. Like, it's just out leveling people. There's just so many fun stories about poker that we could talk for days on. But I don't know. I'm just, having fun's the right word for me right now. But, I'm just, making money and just grinding and just trying to do what I do.
Well, it's great to hear, right? Because I mean, you talk to pros, but you don't really know where people are at, that kind of thing. So to hear that you've regained your passion for the game it's just good for poker. I mean, obviously it's great for you, but it's great for us to hear that. It's great it's just great for poker because I think the more high level players that are enjoying themselves, that's attractive to us because I think, recreational players, it's not that attractive to aspire to the next level when everybody's grumpy and crabby and sad and angry and bitter. Yep. Like, oh, I want that in my life. But if you can tell me, man, I'm excited about being a pro, that's inspiring for all of us.
Yeah, no, thanks. Like, definitely, like I said, I've gone through the times to where I hated it. Like, I just maybe the hate's not the right word, but I just didn't enjoy it, or you think you're better than other players, or you get sucked out on, or you just didn't do this, or like life's kind of making you grumpy, so you don't play as well. I mean, it's really. I mean, people don't realize like everybody that doesn't play poker, that you try to say, what do you do, and you're like, oh, play poker for a living. Everybody immediately thinks it's the coolest thing ever. I'm like, yeah, it's super cool. Like, yeah, I love going to work and losing 7 out of 10 times. Yeah, I love I love going to Florida and coming home $50,000 less. Yeah, that's great. Don't you think that's great? You know?
Awesome.
You know what I mean? And people just like, oh, that's just supposed to be great, and you can do this. I'm like, no, but I think the successful people, if you really want to get good at it, you have to treat it like if people have all had jobs, like another job. Treat it like a 9-to-5 job. Doesn't have to be 9 to 5, but put in the time and effort. Make it a passion and not a job. Don't just go play a tournament for 3 hours and be like, well, that's it. I'm done for the day. Like, put in some time in the lab. Look at the PO solvers. Look at the ICM charts. There's just so many things that we could do to get better. And if you really, really want to be better and good at it, I can tell you this: everybody could put in more effort to be better. Everybody. Every one of us, if we truly want to look ourselves in the mirror and say, I want to be great at poker, we're all not trying hard enough, and we all could do more. But maybe that's not everybody's goal. What if your goal is just to have fun and be okay? That's fine then. But if you say, no, I'm getting this next level, no, I'm going to make a name for myself, guess what? I don't care who it is, you're not putting enough effort because there's so many other things you can do. Not saying I'm not the guy to look at for that, but there's so much more if you want to do that you could do.
That's such good advice. So we'll come back to see if the panel has any other questions. But my last question for you is I know you're confident in your game. You're not really worried about who's at the table. You feel confident no matter who's there. But thinking about personalities, that you've played with, like who are some of the people that you just enjoy playing with? Not necessarily because of their game, their skill. Maybe that's part of it, but just their personality or whoever you enjoy. Like who do you love? When they come to your table, you're like, yeah, all right, this is going to be kind of fun.
So that's super simple. I enjoy playing with people that I know, that I actually take that back, that are my friends. Like, I don't care where I'm at. If I have a friendship, I'd rather play with that person and talk just life or poker than be at a table with nobody. Like that's who I like to play with. If you want me to finish this off, I would not like to play with Blake Bohn when he's drinking. Like, I think he would annoy the fuck out of me, right? So I would hate to play with me just because I know I could be annoying. I also would hate to play with me because I know at any time it could go all in. And sometimes I go home after begging the chip league going, man, I must have been as annoying as hell that night, But at the time, I was just having fun or whatever. But I guess it's kind of an old adage. Like, you need to respect every opponent, but you shouldn't really fear them. You're there to get better, and you want to tell a story. Like, I made a straight flush against Johnny Chan in the main event. Made a straight flush against Johnny Chan. Like, he had the orange out and everything. This is 8 years ago. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, I just made a straight flush against Johnny Chan. Like, this is like rounded. This is like, of course, he didn't say, did you have it? Or to me, and I didn't say, sorry, John, I don't remember. I mean, we can't go through it like that. But I had the queen 9 of clubs and made a straight flush against Johnny Chan. Now, he's not that good a poker player, and he wasn't even 8 years ago, but those are legendary things. Like, I've played, like I've busted, Mr. Daniel Negreanu a few times in tournaments. He's one guy that I wanted to really like until I met him, and we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, no. It'd be an interesting conversation just because it's been. He's one of those guys. We can talk about it. I'm fine talking about it a little bit, but just he's one of those guys that we've all looked up to, and I think a lot of us recreational players still do. But just watching, kind of the last month or so, on the streams has been sort of disturbing for some of us, frankly.
Yeah, so it's not. That's the problem. It's kind of always been like that. Like, it starts way back with him and I. Like, I don't know. Like, the player of the year of WSOP, when it was all you had to play the 10K buy-ins and get deep to win the player of the year. This was when he did win it 5 or 6 years ago. He didn't say shit about it. He just took the award like this. Well, guess what? When they changed the World Series structure for the player of the year a couple of years ago, he kind of started bitching about it. I'm like, you can't bitch about it because it was in your favor here and you didn't say shit, right? And now you're talking about it. That just doesn't fit. And don't say like 99% of me, it's fine and 1% of me isn't, bro. No, it's not. Like, you have a history of going off. Like, like he already, with this Doug Polk thing, like he already sent out this tweet. So he's saying he's going to play Doug Polk. And if Doug wins, he should, because Doug calls himself the best at it. And it's on his terms, on his, forum, whatever. So he's already setting himself up that if he loses, those excuses are built in. If he wins, he's a fucking champion. I mean, yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm calling him out. How many caches does he have? 25, 26 WSOP, and no final tables? wow, that's weird, bro. That's so sick, bro. How those queens and held up against those jacks, bro. What about level 3 when you jammed the ace 9 and got beat by 2 queens or you made 2 aces? Like, you just talk about that. And then he goes, oh, most of them are 1 bullet. I'm like, well, how many is most of them? Because I'm playing max bullets, and I'm not sitting here saying, holy shit, it's such a sick run. I've cashed 9 times in a row. And I'm just like, well, no shit. You and I get to put in 3 bullets in the WSOP. These other guys don't. We have an advantage. Of course you're a better player, but don't sit there and say, oh my God, I'm just on such this. And then when you don't get it, it's like, when he doesn't get there, it's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's crazy. But when he cashes 9 times in a row, he's like, I'm just the best. I'm just the best, And I just, I don't know. You're going to get me all worked up right now. So
yeah, I think we did. We did a little right at the end, right? Just when we won't let you vent. But no, I mean, it's interesting to hear the takes, because we all have different perspectives, and I get notes from people all the time with different perspectives on all these different things. So it's kind of fun to take a view from your seat.
I respect him as a person. I'm not calling him out that. I just
sure.
I've known him I've been in the world for so long, and I see what I see, and I just don't appreciate it. Or maybe I was looking forward to liking him so much because he was my favorite player before I met him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's on me a little bit too. I'm sure it is. But, maybe if we had some more conversations, him and I, about it, it'd be fine. But I can only see what I see from afar, and I think a lot of it is fake and phony, and I've challenged him to some bets that he just turns down, and I'm just like, I'm not trying to – obviously, I can't big time. I mean, the guy's rich as whatever, but I'm just like, I would love to play against him. I mean, I had a last longer with Fedor Holtz, in the World Series in a 5K event. Like, I'm not afraid to I'm not afraid to take the worst of it and bet, because it's going to drive me and challenge me, right? I'm not looking for those edges in the gambling world like that. I just want to play against the best. I just want to be good. I don't necessarily want to be the best. I'm old enough that I just want to keep playing I'm going to play until I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think it's next week. I don't think it's anytime soon, but it could be. And when it is, it is. It just is. Like, I'm just, it's just going to walk away. Like, I'll still play the main event or casually, but you won't see me playing 30 tournaments a year.
Right. Well, any other questions from the panel at all? I see a couple shaking heads. All right. Well, Blake, this is awesome. We could obviously chat for hours.
Sure.
Any final words of either advice or wisdom or insight or something that you wanted to chat about that we didn't cover?
I don't think so. Like, I really enjoyed myself, and we can definitely revisit this in a few months or a year or whatever, and go over some other topics. But I appreciate you guys, and thanks for giving me the time, and hope you guys have a great night.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Blake. You can feel free to jump off. We got some other things to take care of.
Sounds great.
It was a pleasure, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Blake.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, what are our thoughts?
Well, that was fun. He's an animated character, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
I'm not from around there, so I got a different experience. But that was great.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great. The end was the icing. Really, that was a nice little
the little rant on eggs.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop watching Chris's face. I was just watching Chris's face in the screen. It was
He's like just ramping up. I was like, yeah, oh boy, here we go.
That was fun. Well, yeah, part of me was like, shoot, why didn't we start that right away? But then I'm like, maybe that was a good thing that was at the end.
Might have been the best way. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what, because we only see what Daniel Negreanu wants us to see, but it's kind of interesting to hear what Blake has to say, because he's obviously played with them and that kind of thing. So it's just interesting to get that perspective of it.
For sure.
I really like that he comes across being pretty laid back, but you can tell he actually is a hard worker. He prepares hard. He brings that intellect, that prep intellect that I think is one of the things that sets him apart. And he's obviously got all these great natural skills as well. But I was really impressed with and even when he starts talking about reverse engineering tricky spots in poker, right at the top of the interview. Like when I was learning about poker, that was, obviously I'd like to get anywhere near as skilled as Blake Bohn, but one of the ways that I tried to learn was looking at the areas where I felt uncomfortable and then trying to create those circumstances for other people. And I just love the way that he talks about his approach towards studying, the importance of time off the table, and it was good. Another great interview.
Yeah, I watched him play quite a bit, and he appears like he's just really relaxed, but he's like looking at it. He is looking at everything. He's not on his phone. He's paying attention, but he kind of looks relaxed. He's ordering drinks and all that kind of stuff, and then he'll be applying pressure. And then some of those spots come, and you could just tell he gets in that zone. He's just like, he is noodling what is going on in the situation, and it's super fun to watch that happen.
Yeah, I think he's one of my favorite players to watch locally on stream, because I think you should learn. So when I was really wanting to try to get better at poker, and I was just watching some of the local streams and like a lot of the MSPTs, he was always one that was just really fun to watch when he made a final table there, because he plays differently than some players, and you can learn a lot from somebody like that.
Well, yeah, when I played with him many years ago at Canterbury, this was before I even really was serious or anything about poker, and just watching how he acted at the table, and he was the captain of the table. Like and him being self-aware enough to know his persona at the table is very interesting to me, how he can take advantage of it. And it's just nobody messed with him after he did a few things at the table, and it's just kind of crazy how he takes advantage of that.
Yeah, he's very comfortable when he's at the table, and that's the relaxed part that comes across. But there's also a constant intensity there. He's always paying attention and never comfortable to have at your table. Always on your toes.
Yeah. Well, good stuff.
I was kind of impressed with the way he talks about within one orbit. He knows how he's going to approach every other player. He knows where he's going to get his chips from. He knows he needs to get those chips, and he knows who's going to give them to him. And that's being so aware of how, I guess he's so aware of every other player at the table, and he's paying so much attention to what's going on there, that I think that's something that all of us should learn from, because especially in a live arena, that's probably the most important thing. Like you said, you can do all the studying off the table you want, everything you want to do, but if you don't understand the players at your table, you're not going to be able to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, how fun would it be to have a little microphone or be inside of his brain? Okay, go to a tournament early. Tell me what you see. What do you see? And then, their first orbit or whatever. Okay, what are you thinking now? I'd love to know more about that.
Right.
How deep is that going?
It makes me feel like if I ever am at an MSPT table with him, that first orbit, I should just be doing just
opposite
crazy bad stuff.
Exactly.
For that first orbit, just be tumbling my chips over.
Tumble your chips.
Limping
on
this.
Or just limping all the time. Just all kinds of stuff, just to be yeah. But he'd probably catch on to that. But I guess that's got to be my strategy next time I see him.
He'd see you smirking while you do it.
Yeah, right.
Well, fantastic stuff, guys. Thanks for jumping in there. That was fun. A pleasure to have him on. It's somebody we've been wanting to get for a while, and obviously we'll take him up on the fact that he welcomed himself back. So we'll definitely want him back in 6 months to a year. But let's do a little. We're with the new podcast format, we're kind of abbreviating our round robin, just so you guys that are out there will kind of slowly transition you into it. So there's not sticker shock, but really, there's just too many things going on to be talking about at the end of these round robins. It's just so much going on. So really want to encourage you guys, if you're listening out there, go to rec.poker, become a free community member. That's a great way to stay plugged in, and then sign up for the TWRP newsletter. If you do those two things, keep listening to the podcast, you'll know what's going on, but there's just too many things going on. But we do want to share a few things that are going on. First of all, if you're a premium member, which means if you're a paid member out at rec.poker, you're now going to be invited to our monthly online play and hang invitationals. We do those the third Wednesday of every month. If you're a member, you get invited to that. We'll play, and then we'll hang out on Zoom. We'll invite some special guests. We've had Moneymaker, Maria Ho in the past kind of stop by. So that's a cool thing. And then FYI, Thursday nights, we're going to start streaming on twitch.tv/poker. That's part of Robbie Straczynski's thing. We did it one time. He loved it. We had some good engagement there. So Thursday nights, we're going to start streaming the home game out there. I'll start doing it. We'll have some other folks jump in there from time to time, but that's super fun. So get out there and engage with us on that deal. But Mr. Somsky, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I have. We had our mixed game tournament this last week. And the winner on August 12th, the winner of that was Eric Molina, Rob Brereton, and it's his first mixed win.
Nice.
And we played PLO 8. And of course, the next game is going to be Limit 5-card Draw on September 9th.
I lasted about 7 hands, I think, in this one. I didn't quite make it a full orbit, so I've got some learning to do next year.
Somsky sucked out
that
at
was
me.
better than I thought you'd do, Jim. So
The over-under was 8.
Yeah, that's right. Who had 7 in the pool?
Then our July Tournament of Champions winner was Spot Conlon, Daniel Kennedy. And
Nice.
It's his first Tournament of Champions win.
Looking forward to reviewing that final table, right, guys?
Way to
Yeah,
go, Daniel.
Absolutely. And then our Rec Poker Nightly Series, we had August 10th, Binkley, Eric Jin got his second win.
Binkley!
Oh, he's
That's
on. He's on the. He's
yeah.
listening in right now.
There he is,
Yeah.
little smiley face from the chat. Right on. One of our forum champions, Binkley.
Yeah, he
Love it.
is the favorite winner who is on the call right now as we speak.
Right.
Hands down.
Hands down. It's unanimous.
Yeah. Okay. Just in case people didn't get the joke, he's the only winner who's on the call right now.
John's always so careful with those. He doesn't want people
Yeah.
to get offended. It's adorable.
August 11th, we had 3-card fan Michelle Culhane got her first victory. August 13th, Evil Roy CA, unknown. Now, he gave me a hard time saying it was unknown, and I played with him. He's played in the Pape series for years, so I've played against him several times, but I don't know what his name is, other than assuming it might be Roy, but I don't know for sure.
I'm
It's
pretty
his
sure.
first.
I've seen that he comes from Canada, though. I've got this like hypersensitivity thing. When I see that Canadian flag up there, I know he's a good fella. So can't be that evil.
Right. He's just much smarter and better than I would have assumed, given that he's from Canada. Anyway, August 14th, website Mark.
Website
Prashant
Mark. Yeah.
got his second victory. On August 15th, Hawsey 8, Michael Hawes got his fourth victory.
He's making waves. Michael Haas is making waves, man.
Absolutely. And August 16th, Flying Bricks. Sarah Hansen got her third victory.
Yeah.
Bricks is on a roll.
Lots of people are
she's
just
very good.
burning it up.
That's amazing. Way to go, Sarah. Big 3. That's fantastic.
And just one little remaining thing. We are going to be having a cash game available. So as people bust out during our nightly tournaments, you can go over, play the cash game. And it's meant to be the type of thing where you play with each other, talk about your hands, and use it as a training experience.
Yeah, it is
Yep.
play money. So let's have some fun in there.
So John, I need to jump in here real quick. I know we're trying to make this faster, but this is for your information. We got to figure out how to use this. But I got a text from Blake. He said he just loved it, appreciated the time, but he also said several things. But one thing he said, if you ever want me to play a home game, or I can put a bounty on myself for players to play, let me know. So let's figure out how to get Blake in our home game and go after him.
That'd be great.
Excellent idea.
All right, who else we got?
Real quick, we got the book study is held every first and third Wednesday of the month. Members are invited to participate in the discussion, ask questions, provide input, or join us as we go down various rabbit holes.
Guaranteed.
All the past sessions are available to premium members. It took 5 sessions to get through pre-flop. Then we're going to be starting into but it's really good because if someone's looking to construct their pre-flop ranges, it really is a good starting point. You know, it's going to give you a really solid foundation that you can expand on as you get better. It's really, it's really been refreshing for me. And then session 6, we're going to go beyond post-flop and start or pre-flop and go into post-flop and find out what's going on there. Remember, we're doing a game plan by Matt Matros. Come and join us. It's really a lot of fun.
All right, guys, who's next on the list? I don't want to say if Andrew's supposed to go or not because I keep screwing that up every week. But
Yeah,
maybe it's Chris.
It's Rob this
is
week.
there
I
a
think it's
common
Chris.
element to
See,
that
they're
getting
waiting
screwed
for
up
me,
every
see?
week, Steve?
Like, okay, Steve, don't cue them in, Steve. They'll just do their own thing, but they don't do it. So then I have to screw up and say, "Hey, Andrew," and he says,
That's why I'm
"No."
silent.
You know.
That's right.
So it's me. So I'm the one that screwed up. All right, sounds good. So just quickly, membership. We're getting ready for September, the big blind. I'm really excited about this conversation. There's been I've been doing a lot of prep work for it, so I think it'll be a really fun, good conversation for September. And we're still chatting about value for August. So get in there in the forums and join us in this the Strat chat when you can.
Yeah, I had a power outage that prevented me from joining the seminar recording for that one, but I was able to watch it last week, and there was some really good stuff in there. I really enjoy the way you guys talk about value targeting and picking the right players to make these moves against and that kind of stuff. There was some really insightful stuff in there.
A power outage? Did you have a power outage?
Is that what I said, Steve? Is that what I said?
That's what I heard.
That's what my brain heard too.
There's a process.
It's just part of his process.
It's part of my process, eh?
It's my favorite thing to do. Jim, you got anything else for us this week, or do you want to promo your
Well,
podcast?
I'm pretty excited about this new podcast that we've got coming out here. We have so many great forum contributors that I am really excited to be able to bring their thoughts to the rest of Rec Poker Nation. And I'm also excited about getting a couple of them on the show from time to time so we can hack right into that brain. And I think Binkley is going to be one of them if we can wrangle him onto the show one of these days. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I know how I get to actually try and be a host on one of these. I've only tried it a couple times when Steve couldn't make it, and it's hard. So expect a couple ums and uhs coming into the first one.
Yeah, because I never have any of those. All right, well, good. Thanks, Jim. Well, anything that we missed, guys? Anybody hand up? Anybody miss anything? All right, I think we're good to go. Fantastic stuff, man. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Blake Bohn. That was great. Check out rec.poker. Sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our official sponsor, Running Aces Racetrack Casino and Hotel, website AMP, Learn Pro Poker. Fantastic stuff, guys, and we'll sign off there. Thanks, everybody.